Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. In the peaceful countryside of Hertfordshire, England, this truth sends ripples of excitement through the Bennet household at Longbourn Estate. Mr. Bennet, a reserved and sarcastic gentleman, lives with his excitable and often foolish wife and their 5 daughters. The beautiful and kind Jane, the intelligent and spirited Elizabeth, the bookish Mary, the flighty Kitty, and the wild and immature Lydia. News travels fast. Netherfield Park, a grand estate nearby, has been rented by a wealthy and unmarried man, Mr. Charles Bingley. Mrs. Bennet is determined that one of her daughters should marry him. When the family meets Mr. Bingley at a local assembly ball, he makes a favorable impression. He is amiable, lively, and shows a marked interest in Jane. Accompanying Bingley is his close friend, Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy, a man of even greater fortune but reserved and proud in demeanor. Unlike Bingley, Darcy refuses to dance with anyone not from his own party and snubs Elizabeth, remarking that she is tolerable but not handsome enough to tempt me. Elizabeth hears his words and is both insulted and amused, forming an instant dislike for him. Darcy, meanwhile, begins to observe Elizabeth more closely and find himself intrigued by her wit and intelligence. As Jane and Bingley grow closer, Elizabeth's dislike of Darcy is fueled when the charming and affable Mr. George Wickham enters the scene. A militia officer stationed in Meryton, Wickham wins favor easily with his good looks and manners. He tells Elizabeth a sob story, claiming that Darcy denied him a living, a clergy position, that had been left to him by Darcy's late father. Elizabeth, already biased against Darcy, readily believes Wickham and her prejudice deepens. Meanwhile, Mr. Collins, a pompous and sycophantic clergyman and the heir to the Bennet estate, arrives at Longbourn. He has come to choose a wife among the Bennet sisters as a way of making amends for the entailment of their home. He first sets his sights on Jane, but when he learns she may be engaged, he quickly shifts his attention to Elizabeth. His absurd proposal is rejected by Elizabeth, who is repelled by his obsequiousness and lack of sense. Offended, Collins promptly turns his proposal toward Charlotte Lucas, Elizabeth's practical and plain friend, who accepts him for security, not love. Elizabeth is dismayed by her friend's choice, but understands her reasons. Time passes, and Elizabeth travels to visit Charlotte and Mr. Collins at their home in Kent. There, she meets Lady Catherine de Bourgh, Mr. Collins' patron and Darcy's wealthy aunt. Lady Catherine is arrogant and meddling, and she tries to dominate every conversation. To Elizabeth's surprise, Mr. Darcy is also visiting Rosings Park, Lady Catherine's estate. Despite their awkward past, he begins to spend time with Elizabeth. One day, Darcy unexpectedly proposes marriage to Elizabeth. His confession is passionate, but riddled with pride and assumptions that she would accept him despite her lower social standing. Elizabeth, insulted by his arrogance and still angry over his interference in Jane and Bingley's relationship, as well as his treatment of Wickham, fiercely rejects him. She accuses him of ungentlemanly behavior and prejudice. Shocked and hurt, Darcy leaves, but soon delivers a letter to Elizabeth. In it, he explains his actions. He admits to influencing Bingley away from Jane, but only because he believed Jane did not truly care for Bingley. Regarding Wickham, Darcy reveals the truth. Wickham is a gambler and liar who tried to elope with Darcy's 15-year-old sister, Georgiana, for a fortune. This new information shatters Elizabeth's previous assumptions and marks the beginning of her transformation. She begins to recognize her own pride and prejudice. Months later, Elizabeth travels with her aunt and uncle, the Gardiners, to Derbyshire. There, they visit Pemberley, Darcy's grand estate. Believing him to be away, Elizabeth agrees to tour the house. However, Darcy returns unexpectedly and treats Elizabeth and her relatives with surprising warmth and hospitality. She sees a different side of him, gracious, kind, and respectful, and her feelings begin to change. Just as hope seems to dawn for their budding understanding, news arrives that Lydia has run off with Wickham. The scandal threatens to ruin the Bennet family's reputation and the marital prospects of all the sisters. Mr. Bennet searches in vain, but it is Darcy who secretly finds Wickham and Lydia in London. He pays Wickham's debts and arranges their marriage, ensuring that Lydia is not disgraced. Elizabeth learns of Darcy's involvement through her aunt and is overwhelmed with gratitude and admiration. Soon after, Bingley returns to Netherfield and, with Darcy's encouragement, proposes to Jane, who accepts. Lady Catherine de Bourgh, alarmed by rumors of Darcy's interest in Elizabeth, visits Longbourn to demand that Elizabeth promise never to accept a proposal from Darcy. Elizabeth, strong and composed, refuses. Darcy, emboldened by Elizabeth's strength and the knowledge that her feelings have changed, proposes again, this time humbly and without pride. Elizabeth, having grown in understanding and emotion, accepts. Their union is built not on social ambition or obligation, but on mutual respect, love, and the lessons they've both learned. Elizabeth and Darcy marry and settle at Pemberley. Their marriage is not only a romantic triumph, but also a union of equals, two people who have overcome their own flaws. Jane and Bingley move close by, and the sisters remain close. Lydia and Wickham lead an unsettled life, often dependent on others. Kitty improves in Jane's and Elizabeth's company. Mary remains at home, content with books and moralizing. Mr. and Mrs. Bennet carry on as they always have, but the future of the family is secured. Like and follow for more.